Trump is at his happiest when he's on doing some sort of campaigning style rally. So it's no surprise, I suppose, he's marked his 100 days with a rally. Uh, what did you make of it?
I actually think it's surprising that he hasn't done a rally before now, because you're spot on. He loves to be with his people, and these are his people. The folks who show up at a rally like the one that he held in Michigan are full on MAGA supporters, and that's of course who he would want to be celebrating with at a milestone like this. These are the people who put him into office largely, and and they give him, I think, energy and validation for the work that he's done. My takeaways from the rally specifically are: number one, I thought it was interesting that he gave some support to Pete Hegseth, his defense secretary, who of course is a little bit embattled right now, but he traveled with him today, and the president made a point of highlighting him at the rally. Something else that stood out to me: he paused during the rally to show a pretty slickly produced video montage of migrants or alleged gang members who the administration has arrested and put in jail, and it looked like it was video from um, the bringing them to the El Salvador prison. There was music in the background. The crowd cheered. That was an interesting moment, I would say, at this point in his presidency, that he's selling that in that way.
Is that almost because it strikes us from over here that on migrant he talks an awful lot, and the difference between rally and reality, rhetoric and reality, is I think a fascinating one when it comes to American politics. What he asserts to be true and what actually is true. There's very often a very wide border between the two of those things. But what the consensus seems to be is in the field of immigration, he said he was going to get it down. He said he was going to be tough. That actually has happened. Is that so? Maybe that's the one policy he can really say, I said something would change and something has changed, and maybe that's why it becomes central.
I think you're right. I think that it's hard to argue with the contention that they've had, they being the Trump administration, have had a really big impact on lowering border crossings and on kicking out, getting rid of people who are in the United States who came over without papers, who are undocumented. That's absolutely what he promised to do. Now, there will be people who disagree with how he's done it or that he's done it, for sure, but it's absolutely a fulfillment of a promise. I guess the one quibble, maybe in terms of fact checking with what they say or what they're saying about it, is the comparisons to Biden and the record at the end of the Biden administration, when he probably rather belatedly, for certainly for Republicans, but also for some Democrats, did executive action that also led to a decrease in border crossings. Don't Those numbers don't always hold up, but in general, I think your point is spot on, and I think it is a reason why he's highlighting it.
Who's he fighting, Donald Trump? Because the Democrats appear to be nowhere really in this conversation. They don't have a figurehead. Maybe that's where they're just where they are in the electoral cycle. But there doesn't seem to be someone he needs to battle there. He mentioned Biden, which is understandable. But what's he fighting for? Is he fighting to just tell his people that the world is going to say eggs are more expensive, that tariffs are disastrous, that the war in Ukraine is still going, that Gaza is still a horror show and no peace is possible? All the other things I said would change have not changed. So is he fighting kind of reality and the media's version of reality? Is he fighting a political party? Is he fighting for some sort of legacy already? Is he fighting for a potential third term? What do you think he's aiming at or aiming against?
Do I have to pick one?
No, pick as many as you like.
I mean, that I didn't mean that to sound flippant. I think the truth is that this president in particular always needs a foil and is always fighting someone or something. The fact that he continues to bring up President Joe Biden, as often as he does when President Biden's days on the political stage are over, I think is emblematic of that. He used to do the same thing during his first term with Secretary Hillary Clinton. Uh, both of who he vanquished in 2016, and he to some extent did in 2024 with Biden, though it was Kamala Harris at the end who ended up being on the ticket. He certainly fights with the media. He has also been fighting all sorts of institutions in this country, including what he believes to be a bloated bureaucracy that he thinks is basically set up to not support him, but to try to see him fail. So that's a long way of saying all of the above. He's fighting everything, and that honestly is in part what gives him energy, and in part what people in his supporters group, the Make America Great Again crowd, really likes to see.
And give us an objective as far as you can sense of, I mean, he says the polling is fake. He says all sorts of things. It seems, again, that he is not a popular president apart from among his base. It feels like this first 100 days have been more chaotic than promised. He has not achieved what he said he would set out to achieve, and the country is reflecting that in terms of its opinion. Do you have a sense? Is that true? Do you think that the polls are consistent? There is a recognition that this is, for all the 100 days that have gone on since Roosevelt, when the term 100 days came into fashion, this looks like, we're told this is not a good one in terms of popularity for the president. Is that right?
Well, I think it depends on what polls you look at. Certainly, a lot of the polling this week that has come out has not been favorable to President Trump. The Reuters Ipsos poll that came out had his favorability staying pretty stable, actually. Although largely, I think the polling is showing, and this is one of the points I think that you were making, that they don't think, many people don't think he is delivering on his promises with regard to the economy. In part because these tariffs have created such uncertainty, and because prices are going up. And he made a point of saying that he was going to bring prices down. Now, of course, there are some exceptions, and he talked a lot about that at his rally tonight. He talked about egg prices coming down. I don't think they're coming down as much as he's saying that they are, but he's talked about egg prices coming down. He talked about gasoline prices coming down. But in general, the policies that he's been putting in place with regard to tariffs are in fact inflationary. And that is the opposite of what he said he would do. In terms of prices, it's not the opposite of what he said he would do in terms of broad economic policy. He said from the very beginning that he was going to do tariffs. And I guess to my last point on this is you suggested that it's been more chaotic than he promised. I don't know about that. I don't think that he made any promises about the level of chaos. I think most people who experienced and witnessed Trump 1.0 were not expecting a calm start to Trump 2.0.
It's been a busy start, isn't it? I mean, whatever else has happened, if using this 100-day period, he is trying stuff almost more than, it's always a busy period, isn't it? It's always a thing that American presidents want to do. It's the time when they probably have the most power in the whole of their 4-year term. Even by those standards, he is trying to do a lot. He's an active president.
No question, super active, and engaging on all cylinders, to use that kind of an analogy, in all ways with all levels of society. I mean, he has quite literally tried, with some degree of success, to upend the world economic order, to upend the U.S. relationship with its allies and the rest of the world, and to remake American society in line with his vision and and his sort of philosophy about how American society should be. All in 100 days. It's a
lot. And we'll see how he's going to be. How he'll do for the next. He's got 1,300 more, I think. So who knows what will follow that. Jeff, great to speak to you. Really interesting insight. Thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.